Alright guys, quick intro video right now to the original intro, which was filmed probably a year ago. My fault, my apologies to Spike Brewing. I've had this equipment for a long time and not completed this review video. It's a hodgepodge of clips, which you will see, and I had a hard time figuring out exactly how I wanted to do it, so I thought I'm just going to put it out there and you can check it out. The equipment is good. I'm just amateur at using it, so check the video out, check out their company, check out their products if you want. Thank you again to Ben at Spike Brewing for all the equipment. Here's the video. Okay, today on the program, what we are doing is testing this fine-looking piece of equipment from Spike Brewing, who is the sponsor for this episode. They asked me if I would be interested in testing a 10-gallon kettle, and I said sure, I would. So, what we have is a 10-gallon kettle with a thermometer, a valve, some couplers. One thing that I wanted to get a little footage of before I use it, I'm actually using it in the morning, is the welding. I believe they are proud of their welding, possibly known for their welding. So I brought it out here in the sunshine to see if I can get some close-ups. Let's see if we can do that. I am actually not a good judge of welds. But I thought I would try to get some footage here. As far as I understand, they are considered sanitary welds. You know what? Maybe if we turn it like this. There, that might be even more in the light. So for people who know about welds, I don't know how good these shots are, but you can take a look. There's one. Let me see if I can get down to this other one here. And this might all be rubbish footage, but I really do like the way the false bottom, it sits only about maybe a centimeter above the bottom of the kettle. The ring is here, so not only does it have the slats, but then it has another ring under here to prevent stuff from going into the pickup tube, which is here. And then of course it goes out. And I know I have this valve thing on Goofy, but that's just how it was when I got it tight, and I don't want to over tighten it, and I don't really think it should matter. So tomorrow I'm going to actually use it as a mash tun. In the future I might just use it as a brewing kettle. I didn't really want to try to do it for both functions, because then I'd have to run the wort into another kettle, clean this out, get the wort back into this kettle, so I didn't want to do it both times on one day, but in the future I might use it as a boil kettle, maybe even in the same video. So anyway, that's the intro, and let's get brewing. Okay, I got my water heated. Let's add the grain. This is the first time in 11 years of all grain brewing, I did 4 years of extract brewing before that, that I have not used my good old cooler mash tun. So this is kind of a different day here. So now I have the temperature probe to mind, and also the pickup tube, which is on the bottom. The temperature tube is just at the level of grain. That's something I was a little concerned about. I'm doing 10 pounds of grain and 1.25 quarts per pound of water for this mash, and I was kind of curious, since that's not a lot of grain, it's not as much as I use for most batches, if this temperature probe that they have, where they have it positioned, if it would even get into where this mash is happening. You can see it kind of bobs out of the water as if I stir away from it. But I have other thermometers, and so it'll be kind of interesting to compare them. So it was coming in at about 150, and I kind of, normally I would, if anything, aim to come in a little high. I'm aiming for more like 152, but today I knew that I have heat available, so I turned on the heat just right now on a low setting, and I'm just gonna bring it up a couple degrees, get up to 152, and let it sit. So it's been a half hour. I thought I would do a temperature check. This did say about 150 or just over. Now you can see it's under 140, so I thought, oh, okay. And then I went in here and I have another thermometer that's in here, and it still, well, you're not gonna be able to see it, but it still was saying like 155 or something. So here, you can't see it, it's fogging up, but the thermometer probe is right at the top of the liquid, but it's still in the liquid. So that tells me a couple things. It seems like the thermometer, I don't have enough grain and stuff in there for it to be getting the full, I should put the lid back on, the full correct temperature of the full volume of stuff. And the other thing is it, when I was heating it up and then got to what I thought was the temperature, and then I covered it with a bunch of blankets, that what happened was that it was still getting a little warmer, and it got up to, you know, 155 or whatever. So it's a little different. This is the first time I've done this kind of system. You guys have done this kind of stuff all the time. Just, it seems like it's a little trickier than just getting your temperature, nailing it, sealing up the cooler, and then it just holds at that temperature because no more heat is being added. You didn't add any heat to begin with. Learning curve, I'm sure it's fine. Stuff will convert, and for this beer, it doesn't really matter if I'm a little over. But I'll probably leave the blankets off for now. It's been 31 minutes. Let it continue to convert. The temperature will come down a little bit and go from there. I've been running a couple of pitchers off of wort. It's still had some grain chunks in there. Normally I only have to do one pitcher, 2 quarts. I think this is my third pitcher of this. It runs out really fast though. This one's looking a little bit clearer. So there still is some chunks. Huh. Well, you know what? I can't be here all day. That's like 6 quarts of Vorloff, so I'll do it a little bit more here, and then I think I'm just going to run it out, and maybe it's just the initial opening that lets some rush out. It looks like it's clear when I'm just looking at it, but I think I'm just going to start collecting the first runnings after this pitcher is full. We got to get this party started. Alright. So we'll see how much volume I get out of these first runnings. And then I will do a batch sparge after this. So I got 3.5 gallons from the first runnings. I added 3 gallons of 180 water, brought it up to about 166, so all that is good. This is, seems to be running a little clear. Now this is my second pitcher of this. I might do one more. It's pretty clear. I don't think it's not as clear. I will say that. So I'm either doing something wrong, not letting it settle long enough, or else, I mean, I'm not sure. I don't really know. You guys can comment. But I think what I'll just do, I mean, it looks like it runs clear after a while. It could be just that initial opening of the valve that allows some grain get through. I'm not really sure. So what I want to do now, I want to get as much wort out of here as I can which means I'm gonna have to try that siphon trick. I think what I'll do is just let this run down a while, and then I'll just try to stick it in there and see if I can get the wort going through there. And then if the level of the opening of the siphon is below this, it should pull all of the wort that is below the false bottom and below the level of this valve. So that's what we're going to try to do. So it's starting to get a little bit lower. I can see the grain, the top of the grain is showing here. I really don't know how this is going to go, but let's give it a try. Oh, that goes all the way in there. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is light in color and clear. Be nice if I could get a seal somehow. But alright, so I'm just gonna let this run for a few minutes and we'll see if it looks like I get everything out of there that I can. I think the siphon worked. Using this stick, I ended to measure, I got about 6.8 or 6.9 gallons. And since I had 3.5, if I would have only got 3 more gallons that I added, then it would have been 6.5, but I got a little more. So I think I did get most of all of the wort out of there. I'm happy enough with that. I forgot to take a gravity of the second runnings, but I'll take a pre-boil gravity. As you can see, everything here is pretty, drained and dry. So I'll get the wort on the kettle and get this mash tun cleaned out. So I've cleaned it out, and I do believe that the siphon worked. The level of the wort is below this coupler, so that means it was draining from getting all steamed up, but it was draining from below the false bottom, and so my little trick did work, just for your reference. I got it all apart. Got it nice and clean. It cleaned up pretty nice, pretty easily. And that's going to be about it for the footage of using it as a mash tun, because now I have the boil going. I will probably use it as a brew kettle on another batch and do some more footage of that. Today I want to use the kettle now as a regular brew kettle, which is nothing. It's nothing that's putting all of the nice features of it to use, but it is a larger brew kettle than the one that I usually have, so there may be times when I would just want to use it instead of my 8-gallon. I also want to point out that any kind of problems that I was having in the video up to this point do not necessarily reflect badly on the equipment, okay? Mostly it's because I've never used equipment like this. I've done it my one way for over 10 years exclusively, and that was the very first time that I'd ever used anything quite like that. So my point of using this equipment is to just kind of test the quality of it, and it seems that everything as far as that goes, ooh, here comes some wind, is really top notch. But I am just not familiar with it. So if you are used to that kind of equipment and running the valve and running the wort out in that way, and then you can just look at it from your own point of view. But I'm gonna make another beer today, so let's get brewing. Here is the kettle in action. These are these plugs that I got that I'm sure you can find if you don't need the valves. At this time I'm just going to be using it like my regular kettle, which doesn't have valves. And as you can see, even with, I don't know if this is going to work, but yeah, I guess you can see the markings. Even with 6.6 gallons or so in there, it's just, tons of headspace still. And that makes it nice. You got the boil rolling here. Might have to turn it up a notch, but so far so good. Alright, I am here with my friend Joe, and he is a welder and a bunch of things, right? You do all kinds of stuff, I think?
Yep. Welder, fabricator.
Welder, fabricator. I put his eyes on the Spike Brewing kettle. He's been taking a look at it.
Yeah.
And what's your opinion on this bad boy?
Well, stainless steel is obviously the preferred material for brewing, for cleaning. But when you have a weld, you have to have a good clean, what they call food grade weld. What that means is that there's no porous pockets, there's no grooves or nicks or crannies
Okay.
for anything to get caught in, any bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And when you weld something like this, you purge the inside with usually it's an argon or an argon mix or CO2. And then when they weld it properly for a food grade weld, the inside will almost look the same as the outside. It'll be nice, clean fish scales looking. And then it's polished. And this here is very well done. These are really nice welds. I would have no complaints about this at all.
Have you seen other kettles that are for sale that are not as good, a little rougher? Or have you not really seen that many different kinds of kettles?
On a commercial scale, I have.
Okay.
That came from overseas. Some of the welding is pretty
Okay.
iffy.
Yeah.
But I don't have welded bungs on my brew kettle.
Okay.
So.
I know there's a lot of companies out there, but
Yeah, I don't know if any of the other ones.
But basically, I was glad you were able to take a look because I've been curious. Somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. I did some close-ups of it a little bit earlier in this video, but I haven't. But I don't really know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So. All right.
Well, that's
cool.
really nice.
All right. Cool. Thanks.